They told her he wouldn't survive 5 minutes. The prisoner, bare-chested, blood-smeared, and manacled at the wrists, stood alone at the center of the arena of HFY. The sand beneath his feet shimmered with heat, and the sky above was smothered in the orange haze of 2 setting suns. In the Colosseum's observation tier, Commander Elira Voss watched with arms folded, her expression stony, unreadable. Elira had seen war in every form. She'd led thousands to victory across star systems, carved through rebel fleets, and dueled mind flayers on the moons of Zaltor. And yet, something about this moment unnerved her. Maybe it was the calm on the man's face. The arena was a pit of blood and legacy, a place where honor was shredded and survival was its own reward. The crowd, a blend of Alcaran elites, battle lords, and off-world spectators, roared in eager anticipation. Some bet on how long he would last. Others wagered how many bones would be left unbroken. She studied him again. His physique was powerful, but not overly bulky. His skin, a sun-scarred bronze. His eyes, that's what disturbed her. They were a pale, stormy silver, not of a defeated man, but of a predator pacing the edge of release. Name? Elira asked the attendant beside her. Kalenro, the aide replied. Human. Captured in the Outrim 6 days ago. No records. Claimed to be hunting pirates near the Veil Nebula, but his ship, it wasn't anything we've ever seen. And his crime? He killed 14 Dominion enforcers with his bare hands, Commander. Refused to kneel. Elira's lips curved faintly. Good. The trumpet blared. All sound in the arena died. Gates to the east and west creaked open with mechanical groans. From one side, armored gladiators emerged, towering brutes from a dozen war-bred species. From the other, shadows flickered. Psionics, assassins, and serpentine horrors bred in the labs of Urdrex. 100 warriors. Kalen didn't flinch. He only rolled his shoulders, cracked his knuckles, and smiled. The first wave charged. 6 cyber soldiers bearing plasma spears rushed him. Kalen moved like wind through broken glass. He slid low beneath a thrust, seized one attacker's ankle, and spun him into the path of another. Steel shattered bone. Sparks flew. Blood sprayed in arcs across the sand. Elira leaned forward, heart drumming faster. She didn't blink. Kalen tore a spear from one corpse and hurled it like a javelin. It impaled 2 attackers at once. He turned, ducked a whip of barbed energy, and drove his elbow into a reptilian skull hard enough to crack it like fruit. By the 10th kill, the crowd no longer cheered. They watched in awe. By the 40th, the remaining fighters hesitated. By the 60th, they begged for retreat. He didn't grant it. It was a dance of death, brutal and beautiful. Kalen moved not just with strength but precision, like he had seen it all before, like each strike was preordained. Elira's gaze narrowed. This wasn't just talent, this was training. Perfected, alien training. The final warrior, a 2-headed Goliath, roared and charged with twin axes. Kalen sidestepped, slammed his heel into one knee, and used the warrior's own momentum to drive both axes into both throats. The giant dropped with a thud that shook the arena. Kalen stood alone again, blood trickling down his cheek, his breathing steady. The crowd was silent. Dust swirled. Heat pulsed. And still, he didn't kneel. Elira rose and descended the steps to the battlefield, her long cloak trailing behind her. As she approached, Kalen turned toward her, unconcerned. "You were supposed to die," she said. "I was supposed to be impressed," he replied, his voice calm but edged with fire. "Neither of us got what we expected." Her soldiers began to surround him, but Elira raised her hand. "No, he walks." Kalen tilted his head, amused. "So quickly forgiven?" "No," she said. "I want to know what you are." He wiped blood from his jaw, shrugged. "Just a man. With reasons." "Reasons?" "You kidnapped me, killed my crew. You want me to explain myself, Commander? Ask nicer." That fire in his eyes stirred something in her. Not just anger or defiance, but something else. Something old, dangerous. He was different, a human born of war but not broken by it. That alone made him rare. But it wasn't just his strength. It was his control, the discipline. He fought with fury but no chaos. He didn't belong in chains. He belonged on a battlefield, with her or against her. That night, she couldn't sleep. She kept seeing his hands, drenched in blood, his grin in the sandstorm, the effortless strength. In her quarters, alone, she stared at the blood-stained spear he'd thrown. She didn't know why she'd taken it. Was it a trophy or a reminder? In her dream, Kaelin walked into her chamber without permission. He didn't speak. He didn't have to. She stepped toward him, lifted her chin, and let him touch her. The way no one ever dared, the way she hadn't let anyone since her consort died 5 years ago. She awoke sweating. Outside, alarms blared. Raiders! She rushed to the command console. The skies were alight with fire. Dozens of cloaked vessels, unknown configurations, had broken Dominion airspace and were targeting the central fortress. Her aide rushed in. "Commander, they're not raiding. They're extracting." Extracting? She turned sharply to the display. Kaelin's cell was empty, but not broken into, opened. A message flickered across her terminal in a strange language. She blinked. It translated, "This isn't the end, Elira Voss. I came here for you." She stared at the words. Her pulse thundered, and though she didn't understand the full scope of it, she felt it in her gut. A war had just begun. One unlike anything she'd faced, and she wasn't sure if she wanted to win it or join it. The sky over Eshkar was ash-gray now, veiled by a storm system that had not been charted by Dominion satellites. Lightning streaked purple veins across the clouds, but no thunder followed. The silence was worse. It felt intentional. "Commander." Elira Voss stood on the edge of the fortress wall, her black coat flapping in the dead wind. Her mind kept circling the message Kaelin Rowe had left behind. "I came here for you." It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. And it unsettled her more than if it had been laced with vengeance. She had interrogated warlords, broken star pirates, in the torture domes of Diraxis, and silenced the songs of rebellion on 4 moons. But no prisoner had ever looked at her like he did. No prisoner had ever walked out of his cell with the calm certainty of a man finishing a plan, not escaping a death sentence. She clenched her jaw, staring into the distance, where a scorched black mark across the hills indicated where Kaelin's unknown ship had lifted off under the cover of raider fire. "Track him," she said, not turning. Around General Corin, her second-in-command, shifted uneasily behind her. "Commander, we've run every trace we can. His ship, if that's what it was, left no trail. It warped through a fold space window we've never mapped." "Then scan for signature echoes," she snapped. "Use Terraline oscillation. We used it during the siege of Veilstar. If he slipped through our fingers, it's because he knew exactly how our sensors work." Corin paused but finally gave a nod. "Yes, Commander." When he left, Elira remained still for a long moment. Her fingers brushed the hilt of her sidearm, but it wasn't the weapon she was thinking about. It was his hands again, his voice, his eyes. Who was Kaelin Rowe, and why did a part of her want to follow him, rather than hunt him? Kaelin's ship, the Seraphine, floated silently through the rift, held between stars, hidden in the folds of a dying nebula. From the pilot chair, Kaelin rotated the holomap slowly, watching red Dominion clusters blink in and out as he scanned possible return points. But his mind wasn't on the map. It was on her. Elira Voss. She was exactly what he had hoped for. Ruthless. Brilliant. Flawed in the way that mattered most. She still had a soul, buried under layers of conquest and obedience. She had not been born a monster. She had become one. But monsters could be broken. And sometimes they could be freed. Kalen flexed his fingers. They still ached from the arena fight. 100 opponents. He hadn't intended to kill them all. But the Dominion didn't understand restraint. Blood was the only language it respected. She had watched, and something had changed in her. He'd seen it, felt it. The moment where fear gave way to fascination, when judgment turned to curiosity. That one flicker of vulnerability behind those glacial violet eyes. He would find her again, and when he did, it wouldn't be as enemies. Days passed, then a week. Elira scoured Dominion intelligence logs. She interrogated prisoners from the raid. Even tortured a pirate queen who had claimed to have met Kalen on a fringe world called Ilmarith. Nothing. Then the dreams started. They were not like her usual nightmares of battle and loss. These dreams were intimate, alive. She saw Kalen not as a prisoner, but as a partner, fighting beside her, protecting her, touching her, whispering her name not as a threat, but as something sacred. The worst part? She didn't want to stop them. Her control slipped. She barked at officers, spent hours in her war room alone, just staring at the logs. Her closest aide, Lieutenant Valen, finally confronted her. "You're obsessed," he said. She didn't deny it. "He killed our men, mocked our strength." "He also walked out of your highest security prison like a ghost," Valen countered. "And now, you dream of him. Don't deny it. We all see it." Elira's hand went to her pistol, but she didn't draw it. Instead, she said softly, "You don't know what I saw in that arena. It wasn't brute strength. It was something ancient, something forgotten. Is that what this is now? A myth?" She stared him down. "If it is, then I'll find the truth inside it." The truth found her first. 3 nights later, her transport was ambushed en route to a war summit. A precise surgical hit, no casualties, just enough to disable the escort ships. Then, the Seraphine uncloaked above the smoking skyline. Kalen descended from it alone. Elira stood in the center of the wreckage, gun raised. "You came back," he smiled. "I said I would." Her pulse spiked, but her grip remained firm. "You're either the most arrogant man I've ever met, or the most dangerous." "I can be both," he replied, walking slowly toward her. Soldiers surrounded them, but she raised a hand to hold fire. "Why?" she asked. "Why me?" Kalen stopped, just out of reach. "Because you're not beyond saving." She laughed bitterly. "You don't even know me. I know that you watch stars, like they still mean something. I know you spare your enemies more often than your records claim. I know you keep your dead consort's locket tucked behind your armor. And I know that when I fought those 100 warriors, you didn't want me to die." Her breath hitched. "How?" "I don't need spies," he said. "I read people. You've built a fortress around your heart, Commander. But that fortress has cracks, and I see what's inside." Silence stretched between them. She lowered her weapon slowly. "You came back for me. I came because we're not done. You feel it too. You've built a life out of command and silence, but your soul, it's starving." His voice was gentler now. "I'm not here to break your world, Elira. I'm here to show you another one." Then he offered her his hand, and she took it. On board the Seraphine, Elira saw what Dominion sensors never had. The ship was more than advanced. It was alive. Its walls pulsed faintly with bioreactive fibers. Its AI whispered in soft tones. Its engines ran on a fusion source unknown to their empire. "This isn't human tech," she murmured. Kalen nodded. "Not exactly. I was born human, but I was raised in the cradle of the Solari. They found me during the purge. They taught me balance, discipline, purpose. Are you one of them?" "I'm what they made me," he said. "What they hoped humanity could become before the Dominion turned our species into war dogs." Elira walked the ship in silence, brushing her hand along its walls. She should have ordered her troops to arrest him. She should have shot him, herself. But nothing about this felt like betrayal. He was the only person who had looked at her as a woman first. Not a weapon, not a rank, a person. As they stood together on the observation deck, stars reflecting off the glass, she turned to him. "Why? Not just kill me?" she asked. "I thought about it," Kalen admitted. "You're dangerous, ruthless, everything the Dominion raised you to be. But I saw something else in your eyes." "What?" "Someone still capable of choosing." He stepped closer. "And if you choose me, then maybe the rest of your empire might follow." Their faces were inches apart. "I don't join rebels," she whispered. "Then don't," he replied. "Join me." His kiss was sudden, fierce, but not violent. Her hands went to his chest, but didn't push him away. Instead, they gripped, tighter. For the first time in a decade, she let someone touch her without flinching. It wasn't surrender. It was awakening. Later that night, in the dim glow of the ship's starlight chamber, they lay tangled together, naked truths pressed close. Elira traced a scar along Kalen's shoulder. "You knew I'd follow," she murmured. "I hoped," he said. "You've put me in an impossible position. You'll find a way out." She turned her face to his. "You make me want to betray everything I've built." Kalen held her tighter. "No. I make you remember what you really wanted to build before the Dominion took your dreams and gave you orders." Elira closed her eyes. For once, she didn't feel the weight of war. Just his breath, just his skin. But beyond the ship's hull, stars still burned, and war still waited. On the surface below, Dominion agents had already traced the warp disturbance. A fleet would come, and they would not ask questions. They would not care that their most ruthless commander had gone willingly into the arms of their most wanted fugitive. They would come to burn. Kalen and Elira would have to choose, run or fight. But not yet. Tonight was theirs. And for the first time, Elira Voss wasn't afraid of being touched. The cold stars above Veridon Prime pulsed like a heartbeat. Elira Voss stood at the helm of the Seraphine, draped in a loose tunic, the remnants of Dominion rank no longer stitched on her shoulder. Her mind was split between what she had abandoned and what she had chosen. Behind her, Kalen Rowe approached quietly, barefoot, shirtless, his body still bearing healing cuts from his last battle. He didn't speak at first. He knew the silence was part of her process. Eventually, he said, "You're thinking about the war?" "No," she lied. He stopped beside her, eyes locked on the drifting remains of a Dominion patrol skiff slowly dissolving into the nebula gas. "We have maybe 5 hours before your fleet tracks us again. The jump window won't be safe until the storm front clears." "I know." He glanced sideways. "Still thinking about going back?" "I'm thinking," she corrected. Kalen nodded slowly. "If you want to go, I won't stop you." Elira didn't respond immediately. She studied his reflection in the glass. "Do you know what it feels like," she began, "to have thousands kneel when you enter a room, but not one person truly see you?" His hand brushed her fingers lightly. "I do now." Elira turned to face him. "Everything I've done, Kalen. Every planet I scorched, every uprising I crushed. That blood doesn't wash off. I'm not asking you to forget it," he said, "only to stop pretending that it was ever your choice. I made those choices. No, the Dominion made them for you, and you carried them out because it was all you knew. But now, you've seen something else." She looked down. "You." Kalen took her hands in his. "And I see you. The real you. That's why I came back. Why I keep fighting. It was never just about the rebellion. It was always about you. She leaned into him, her voice barely a breath. Then stay close, because they're coming. And they did. Within hours, Dominion warships blotted out the stars. Hundreds of them, led by High Executor Drazar, a man as cold as vacuum, and twice as merciless. His message was brief: return Commander Voss or be annihilated. Kalen didn't flinch. Instead, he turned to her. Your call. Elira stared at the transmission screen. Drazar's image glared down at her like a god betrayed. She felt the weight of 10 years of loyalty threatening to crush her chest. But then she looked at Kalen, at the bruises that hadn't healed, at the scars he wore openly, at the man who had bled for freedom and loved her without demanding anything in return. I'm not going back, she said, stepping forward. You want me, Drazar? Then come take me yourself. His eyes narrowed. Traitor. No, she said. Awake. Then she cut the transmission. Kalen was already activating the ship's defense matrix. They'll try to board first, he said. They'll want you alive. They can try, Elira replied, pulling twin energy blades from the rack. Let's remind them who I was, before I chose who I am. The first wave hit like a thunderclap. Dominion shock troops breached the hull with seismic charges, flooding the Seraphine's lower decks with fire and flash grenades. But they didn't expect what waited for them. Kalen was already moving through the smoke like a wraith, disarming, dismembering, and disabling with a brutal elegance. His blade wasn't made of metal. It pulsed with Solari energy, slicing armor as if it were cloth. Elira descended from above like a blade of wrath. Her strikes were precise, born from Dominion training but fueled by a new fire. These weren't kills for conquest. They were acts of defiance. Side by side, they tore through the invaders, leaving only wreckage and echoes. More came. Dozens. Then, scores. Eventually, Elira was knocked to one knee, a blow cracking her shoulder plate. Kalen appeared just in time, pulling her back, shielding her body with his as he deflected an explosive round. Blood dripped down his arm. She looked up at him, eyes wide. You're hurt. He grinned, blood on his teeth. Only a little. The ship rocked again, this time deeper, more violent. They've locked onto our core, he said. They're going to destroy us! Elira grabbed his hand. Not if we jump now! But the storm. Now, Kalen! They sprinted to the command deck, sealing bulkheads behind them. Kalen's fingers flew across the controls, reprogramming the coordinates mid-warp. Destination? The AI asked. Anywhere they're not, Elira growled. Coordinates accepted. The stars outside twisted, bent, and vanished into a singularity of color. And then, silence. They had escaped. But for how long? They landed on a moon Kalen hadn't visited in years. Arcana, a wild place with crystal forests and jagged mountains. The ship's systems powered down for repairs, and for a brief moment, the galaxy stopped chasing them. Elira and Kalen set up a temporary shelter by a frozen waterfall, the crystals humming with resonance as night fell. She leaned against him, near the fire, her hair still damp from snowmelt, her lips swollen from another kiss they hadn't been able to resist. I should hate you, she murmured. I should have left you in that cell. They smiled. You changed me, she admitted. No, he said. You remembered yourself. I just reminded you. Elira lay her head on his shoulder. I don't know what's going to happen next. Kalen wrapped his arm around her. We'll fight. We'll run. We'll survive. Together. She closed her eyes. I want more than survival. So do I. She opened her eyes, fierce now. Then let's give them something to fear. Let's become the myth they whisper about. The commander who defected for love. The warrior who stood against 100 men and lived. He touched her cheek. Let's start something they'll never be able to stop. Outside the cave, shadows moved, unseen, unheard, but watching. Elira's instincts flared. She stood, drawing her blades. Kaelin followed, silent and ready. From the dark emerged figures, not Dominion troops, but civilians. Worn, tired, but armed. A woman stepped forward, her face scarred, but determined. "Are you Elira Voss?" Elira didn't lower her weapon. "I was," the woman nodded. "Then maybe you're the one we've been waiting for." Kaelin looked at her, then at Elira. "They're not here to kill us. They're here to join us," she whispered. And for the first time since she defected, Elira saw the shape of a new war. Not one for dominion, but for freedom. A war worth fighting. Future worth building, and she wasn't alone anymore. The campfire crackled beneath the icy dawn. Around Elira Voss and Kaelin Rowe, hundreds of rebels stirred. Farmers, exiles, deserters, and survivors. Word had spread faster than plasma across the quadrant. The Dominion's golden commander had defected, and the warrior who once fought 100 men alone now fought for them. Elira paced along the ridge as the twin suns of Arkina crested the peaks. Her armor, custom now, not Dominion forged, was layered with a deep matte black polymer over flexible dragon-scale plating. Her blades were reforged with rebel sigils. They gleamed faintly with promise. Kaelin stood below, sparring with two young fighters. His movements were patient, calculated. He taught not for war's sake, but survival. He paused when he saw her watching. Their eyes met. She nodded. He walked up to her without hesitation. "They're getting better," he said. "They'll need to be," she replied. "The Dominion isn't done with us." Kaelin's smile was dry. "They're sending Drazar, aren't they?" "He's coming himself." Kaelin nodded slowly. "Then we finish this." Elira looked down at the people they'd gathered. "Do you think they can stand against a full-scale purge fleet?" "No," Kaelin said. "But they won't be alone." He tapped the side of his comm bracelet and projected a 3D map of nearby sectors. Faint rebel signals blinked like fireflies. "They've heard what you did, what we've done. Some are mobilizing, and I've sent a message to an old ally." Elira raised an eyebrow. "Another warrior you once punched in a pit arena?" Kaelin grinned. "She stabbed me, actually, twice. We're still friends." She chuckled, the sound like thunder in sunlight, but the warmth faded as she turned to the horizon. A ship had breached atmosphere. Big, black, brutal. Drazar's flagship, the Eidolon's Wrath. No warning, no negotiation, just war. The mountain trembled as drop pods screamed toward the valley below. Hundreds of Dominion shock soldiers landed in staggered waves, their synchronized formation blotting out the snow as they advanced. Elira narrowed her eyes. "They're using fear tactics." "They don't know what fear is," Kaelin muttered, drawing his blade. Behind them, their gathered rebels tightened formation. Elira turned to face them. She raised her voice, carrying over the wind. "I won't promise survival. I won't promise victory, but I will promise this. Today we stand together, not because we were born under the same banners, but because we chose each other. Today we stop being prey. We become the storm." A roar of approval rose behind her. And then the battle began. It was chaos and fire. The first wave of Dominion troops hit the rebel line hard, but Elira was already moving. Her twin blades spun in a dance that made war seem beautiful. She was everywhere at once, leaping, dodging, striking, and behind her came Kaelin, raw strength crashing through steel like thunder against mountains. Rebel fighters held their ground better than expected. Their resolve was not forged in barracks, but in pain, in loss, in fire. They had no formations, no doctrine, just purpose. But Drazar knew her too well. From his vantage on a hovering command platform, he watched Elira carve through his best with surgical efficiency. He activated his personal descent pod. It struck the battlefield like a comet. Kalen was the first to reach the crater. The air shimmered around it. When the hatch hissed open, Drazar emerged in full black exo-armor, a six-bladed plasma glaive humming in his hands. Kalen said nothing. He lunged. Their clash was seismic, Kalen's brute force against Drazar's mechanical precision. Sparks and blood flew in equal measure. Meanwhile, Elira saw the platform drop. She didn't hesitate. Leaping over a pile of fallen Dominion soldiers, she sprinted toward the crater, cutting a clean line through the chaos. She arrived just in time to see Kalen thrown through a stone pillar. He didn't get up. "Kalen!" Drazar turned to her, slowly. There she is, the traitor queen. Elira's rage boiled like plasma in her veins. "You never knew me." "I made you." "No," she whispered, stepping closer. "You used me." He lunged, blades spinning. But Elira had already vanished. She dropped low, spinning inside his arc, her blades slicing beneath his guard. Sparks exploded from his armor. He snarled, swinging with inhuman force, but she ducked, rolled, came up behind him. Then she saw Kalen stir. His eyes opened, bleeding, broken, but alive. Their eyes met one last time, and in that instant, everything slowed. Elira saw her whole life, the pain, the chains, the fire, and she chose to burn it all down. With a scream that split the sky, she launched herself upward in a spinning arc, her twin blades forming a cross. She struck Drazar dead center. His exo-armor shattered, his body hit the ground like a mountain falling. Silence fell. Kalen pushed himself up on one elbow, coughing blood. Is he dead? Elira stood over Drazar's shattered body, blood dripping from her blades. Yes. Then she dropped to her knees beside Kalen, cradling his head. "I'm not letting anyone else touch you again," she said softly. He smiled. Damn right. They kissed, there, in the ruin of war, and around them, the rebels roared. Weeks passed. The Dominion didn't recover. Word of Drazar's death spread like wildfire, and with it, stories of the woman who killed him and the man who fought 100 warriors and lived. The Seraphine became a symbol, not a ship. Their movement, named the Freeborn, grew. And on a crystal cliff overlooking the twin moons of Arcana, Elira and Kalen stood again, but this time, not as fugitives, as leaders, as partners, as legend. She turned to him. "Where to next?" He took her hand. "Wherever you go, Commander." She smiled. "Then we go where they can't stop us." And together, they walked forward, toward the stars, toward war, toward love that refused to die. Call to action, CTA. If you loved their journey, the romance, the war, and the fire, don't stop here. The rebellion has only begun. Will you stand with the Freeborn? Will you follow Elira and Kalen beyond the stars? Let me know if you want the next book, because this is only the beginning.